But within that first week, something horrible happened to me. He had a hometown friend there that he had known.
Staying with you?
Staying with
in the
us
house.
in the house.
Okay.
He had just came from New York because that's where Jack is from. They apparently had went to high school together. We went out this one night. Jack and I are obviously very together. Like, we were hugging on each other, all over each other. And I even remember, his name's I remember came up to both of us and was like, you guys are so cute. Like, so he obviously knew. He had a girlfriend that was in New York as well, but he was here for spring break and just to, you know, see Jack. He was very respectful, didn't really talk to me that much. We ended up going back home. We're, you know, drunk. I wasn't as drunk as I would normally be because Jack was really drunk. And I would also make sure he was okay and make sure everyone got home safe. He had his jewelry on, and I would even change him because he would be so intoxicated. So we end up going to bed. And I just remember waking up and his hand was in my pants. I was in the middle of him and Jack.
It's okay.
And I just felt so violated and scared. Like, I had never been through a situation like that ever. And not knowing who it was, like, I just woke up to a dark figure in the room next to me, laying in bed with his hands in my pants. I woke up freaking out. I pushed him away from me, and I'm like trying to tap Jack, and I'm like, Jack. And he's drunk as shit. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm pushing this guy off of me, and he doesn't care. I turned to the side, like closer to Jack, and I'm like trying to tap him. I'm basically on top of Jack in his back. And he just is saying, I'm gonna fuck you right now. And I woke him up, and Jack woke up, and he was like, I was like, get him out of here. Like, I don't know what to do. And he's trying to hump me from the back while I'm talking to Jack, and Jack is awake. And Jack is like, bro, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? Go. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm fucking her right now. And I was just shaking. I was crying. I was in shock. And he just gets up and leaves the room. And I stayed awake that whole entire night. Like, and Jack went to bed. And I just was like, there's no way that fucking happened to me right now. Like, I don't know what to do. I wanted to go home. But I was like, well, in the morning, like, I guess, like, Jack will remember, like, you know, like, what happened. We end up waking up, and he was ready to go out the door for breakfast. And this guy meets us there at breakfast, and I'm sitting across from him the entire time. I'm like, I couldn't even look at him.
You didn't talk to Jack about it in the morning?
I didn't talk to him in that moment. I didn't even see him that day.
No, you didn't talk to Jack. You didn't say, like, do you remember what happened?
Not at this point, because I thought he was aware. I thought Jack remembered what happened that night and that we would talk about it, and it wasn't brought up. And I was like, you know, everyone was ready for breakfast. I'm around a group of people. He was just like in our living room. I also am like, I don't know what to say, you know, to Jack, because like, this is his hometown friend. This is horrible. Like, I can't believe he did that to me, and I can't believe he did that to Jack. Like, knowing that we were talking and I was laying in his friend's bed, he still came into the room and did that to me. So while we're at breakfast, I'm like holding my tongue. I'm like, I wish I talked to Jack before we fucking went to breakfast, because now I'm sitting across from this man who did this to me. I can't even, like, I was in my phone the entire time. I was like so uncomfortable trying to figure out a way to like tell everyone I needed to leave without causing a scene, because when you're in that situation, you don't know it. You don't know that you'll act that way, but like, I was terrified to tell anyone. I felt ashamed, even though I had woken up with him doing that to me, and it was nothing in my control. I couldn't control that happening, but for some reason, like, I felt uncomfortable telling anybody. But we ended up going back home, and I pulled Jack aside. I was like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, do you remember what happened last night? He was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I was like, he did that to me. Like, and I explained it in detail, and he was like, holy shit, I remember. He was like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. He was hugging me. I was emotional, and I could tell he was getting emotional. And I just remember him going outside and telling Logan, who was his friend that he worked with, and like all of the guys that were there. And I don't know what conversation they had with him, but from that day forward, I had never seen ever again. Like, Jack fully cut him off. He wasn't at the house at all. And it eventually came out, like, later on, while Jack and I were dating for over a year, he had texted Jack and apologized and said that he was on drugs that night, and he was tested positive. And he said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. I was on drugs. I know. I don't know.
Fucking shit. Sick fuck.
I know. So that was like a traumatic experience that I had that I had never been through. And Jack was the one person that was there that knew about it, that he was in the same bed as me, and he was there, and he comforted me. And I told him, I was like, I just want to go home. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm so uncomfortable.
Obviously.
And he was just like, no, like, you're amazing. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, this happened to you. I'm going to protect you. This will never happen ever again. Like, you're safe with me. Like, you can stay in my bed. You can be with me. You're going to be okay. So I think that was the initial, protective instincts that he showed me. And I guess the loyalty, even though he grew up with this person and knew him, and it was a childhood friend, even though like he did something so fucked up, like he was really there for me in that moment. So I ended up going back home and going to LA, and I went to Coachella. I still don't know what the whole situation was. I didn't tell my parents about the whole thing because, again, I felt disgusting. I didn't want to talk about it. And also, I knew they were going to be like, you shouldn't be in that situation. But I knew that Jack felt different and would protect me now. Like, that's what I, was assuming, that he would never let anything like that happen to me ever again.
I think, too, maybe, like, when something, like, obviously, like, that is so incredibly traumatic to a point where, like, you bonded over that.
We did.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's like I'm not saying you bonded over the fact that it happened to you, but you bonded over the fact that he was one person that heard you and believed you and was there and saw it. So it's like, that's there's some form of like connection that's formed in that moment. It's really called a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Like, you form a connection, you first time you see this protective instinct, the first time you're seeing this lifestyle that he's showing you, the clubbing, the partying, the yachts, the jewelry, like the everything, and then you get what I'm saying? So like, first time something goes wrong, he immediately steps up to the plate.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
every time I felt uncomfortable about a situation, he did do that for me. And I want people also to realize, I think a lot of people ask, like, why, if he was toxic in the beginning, why was I with him? But he wasn't. He was amazing. And I want people to know that, like, I didn't put myself in a toxic situation, but he was so different in the beginning. And I know, like, what people see of him online, like, it's obviously negative and all this stuff, but that wasn't who I fell for. It was not that. It was a protector. It was a provider. It was someone that had respect for me and, just made sure I was okay, and opening the car door for me, taking me out to dinner, very respectful.
Showing you a world of opportunities too.
Absolutely. And I also, on top of that, knew like everyone's passionate about the same thing. So like, it couldn't get better. I was like, these people love social media. They do fun skits all the time. Like, he was involving me in videos without having OnlyFans, a little bit here and there. Like, they would have like a little skit, and then it was fun, and I would be like, oh, that was funny. And it had nothing to do with, the whole OnlyFans side of things, but they did involve me in a little bit. But for the most part, that whole entire month of us hanging out with each other was just strictly clubs, yachts, drinking, dinner, fun. Like that was that.
And see, that's why the Bible says if you're friend of the world, you're the enemy of God. All these worldly activities that the world tells you, drinking, smoking, partying, drugs, will all lead to your destruction. That's why put God first, man, and he will lead you to a happy life and to the truth. That's why you should never have a worldly girlfriend or boyfriend, because they will cheat on you the first chance they got. But a person who believes in God will not do that, man, because they follow God's principles.
A brave fight, Prophet Muslim.
No sex, no drugs, no love, no party. Roger. Healthy.
King Gus.
Subscribe to the Prophet channel.